Okay, so we were talking earlier, you were sharing your IRA story.
Yeah.
And there was another piece that you threw out about the fighting with reality.
Yeah.
And
That's a big one.
That is a really big one.
Yeah.
So that takes its own video.
It does.
To really process that.
Yeah.
So fighting with reality. Well, let me just share the story.
Okay.
So in the mornings, I go and I do my workout in my pool spa thing. And my son wakes up and he doesn't do his chores right away. He knows he has chores.
Got it.
And he doesn't do them right away.
Yeah.
And instead, he'll hop on the iPad.
Oh.
And just because he thinks, oh, I've only got like an hour before I'm going to go to Quest, so I'll just do this. And then as soon as Mom's done, then I'll kind of, do
waiting
stuff.
for you to kind of push him
Tell
along.
him.
Yeah.
So I was so annoyed the other morning. And then I saw my middle child come out and sit in the chair with him, these chairs, and they're both playing their iPad. And I'm like,
Wait.
Like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, like I'm thinking in my head, wait, you know the drill. You're supposed to get up, you do your chores, you do your schoolwork.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? And this has become a pattern, like towards the end of the school year.
Right.
So it's
yeah. They're ready for summer. They're ready. Their brains are already in
That's
summer.
where their brains are.
Yeah.
And I'm like really pissed about it. But that, when you said fighting with reality, that's immediately what came in my brain, because I was like, I was so mad, but it's like, okay.
It is what it is, right?
This is what's been created.
Right.
This is what's been created. Yeah. Like, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
You can't fight with who they are, what they are, what they like, and what their inclination is. I'm still processing this hair, so you're going to have to help me through it, because I have a hard time with that fighting reality and not getting worked up about it, anxious about it.
That's a tough one. No, it's funny that you say that, because this pops in for me. My girls, so I used to have this big thing about them going to sleep on time, or being in their bedroom on time. I mean, up until, and I hate to say this, up until last year, their bedtime was 7 o'clock.
What?
Yeah. Did I not tell you this?
No.
I know.
They're not small.
No, my oldest is 14 and my youngest is 12. So, and they used to hate me for that. I mean, I would never hear the end of it. And they'd be like, we're like babies. All of our friends get to stay up. And I was like, I know. But this is before I kind of had the realization that, and this is my reasoning for it. Okay, the reasoning behind it was, we stuck with the whole schedule before because I wanted the time with my husband.
Right.
Because, he gets home from work, we have dinner, and then it's like, he and I want to connect. He and I want to watch a show, and it's typically an adult show or a grown-up show, we say. And it's not appropriate for children. It's in a living room, which we have an open concept, so it's, they can still hear if they're around any little spot. And they always want to be around me. And so I'm like, you guys need to go to your rooms. I don't care really how late you stay up, but there's no devices in there, but 7 o'clock is bedtime. So we'd start the process at 7. They go take their shower, and it would just drag on. And I would get so upset.
Yeah.
So upset. So talk about arguing with reality. I mean, my husband would scream and yell. I would scream and yell, but I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. And then they'd come out and ask me another question, like 15 questions, And I don't know what happened. I think probably this year, we didn't make it a big deal. It was just kind of like, well, you can stay up a little later and this and that. So now it's kind of like it's like 10 o'clock now.
Yeah. Wow.
However,
really let the reins loose.
I really let the reins loose.
Man.
I know. But I noticed that when I gave them that freedom of not being at 7 o'clock, I stopped arguing with that.
Yeah.
That reality of them wanting to be out of their room with us or whatever. And it really just forced my husband and I to have that time that we had together to be more special.
Right.
And, maybe it is 9:30 at night. Maybe it is 10 o'clock at night. But we're still a family, and I don't want to shut them out just so that we can have our time. If we really want time, we can go have date night, et cetera, et cetera.
I love that.
So
okay, wait.
Yeah.
Let me just back up.
Sure.
So when you're talking about arguing with reality,
Yeah.
it's they wanted a later bedtime.
Yes.
And you were arguing with that reality?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was upset with them for wanting to stay up later.
Right.
And so it just caused this whole cycle of anger. I mean, nobody was a joy. I was never, and I always say, like, God, I just want them to listen to me. I just want them to respect me.
Right.
And it was like, this is what you want. They're not wanting this, and so you're forcing it, but it's not working.
Right.
And I'm arguing with reality because it's not working. And so why don't you just let it go?
Right.
But that was really difficult to let go.
Why don't you just let God show you how it'll all work out?
Right.
If you're not so attached.
Right.
To this.
Right. And now, I'll be up reading and go in their rooms, and it's like 11:30 and they're still awake. And it's like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because just recently, this really is just recently, like 2 weeks ago, where I went in, and my one daughter, she will wait till the very last minute to finish something. It's literally Sunday night. All of her assignments have to be in because she does like a homeschool thing. Everything has to be in by midnight on Sunday. It's 11:30 at night and she's still doing her work.
Yeah.
Now I can argue with her about it, and I can get upset with her about it and say, what are you doing? And trust me, I have done this many times.
Sure.
But I have to be able to step back and just say, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And if the teacher doesn't like that she's turning it in at midnight, the teacher will deal with it with her.
Right, exactly.
I don't have to even say a thing about it.
Right.
Because then I'm arguing with her, and that shows that, I'm not accepting, et cetera, whatever. But that's arguing with reality. The reality is that she's up at 11:30 at night doing her work. I can scream and yell at her all I want. It's not going to change what it is.
It brings us back to parenting.
Yes.
Like, where do you draw the line of, like, okay, what are we supposed to be doing for our kids?
I know.
Like, should we set up those boundaries? I mean,
right.
Your daughter is mid-teens.
Yeah.
So it's like, you've done the parenting. Like, now she's got to start doing it.
She absolutely knows.
So at this point, you're kind of weighing, do I tell her what she already knows?
Right.
Or do I build the relationship so that she's gonna fall?
Yeah.
She's gonna...
If she gets that bad grade, she gets a bad grade. And this is also another thing that just was really hard for me is my girls have, and I don't mean to brag by any means, but they are A students. They have A work. They're naturally smart, and it's funny because that's speaking on the other video where I was just like they just have this other gift that I didn't have.
Right.
And when they are getting B's and C's, they haven't really necessarily gotten worse than a C, but when they're having those grades, I'm like, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
And I had to really swallow I don't even know if it's pride, but I had to really take a step back because my youngest got a B this last quarter. And it's absolutely because I let the reins go. She did it on her own terms, but she was okay with it. I was the one that was having a problem with it.
Right.
It really bothered me. Oh my God, she's got a B.
Right.
Seriously? Who cares if she has a B?
Yeah.
But I see her at this level of getting A's. So what is it showing me that she's not doing A work? Well, I can argue with that and get upset with her. You have to stay in. You can't go out with your friends. You have to, not watch TV. You have to, whatever it is, to force her to be this way. She already knows she can get A's.
Yeah.
She already knows that. Mm-hmm. But she's choosing not to. That's her choice.
Right.
I can't do anything about that. And that's very difficult as a parent. When you know that they're at this, they can have this potential and they don't do it. Oh, that is a very tough pill to swallow.
That is tough. And what are the natural, talk about love and logic, which what are the natural consequences of that? Like, okay, you get a B.
Yep.
What's the natural consequence of B? Not much.
No.
It's just a B.
Yep.
Like,
you don't get the high honor roll. You get honor roll.
Right.
I mean, she still gets honor roll, but she doesn't get the high honor roll.
Right.
So it's like, oh, you want that other, for who? For what?
yeah.
Who, what?
Yeah, like,
Really?
are you okay with that
Yeah.
consequence? Then okay.
And she was the one that was totally fine with it. She's like,
Right.
whatever. And she's like, well, you're the one that always wants me to have A's. And I said, well, part of that's true.
Yes.
But yes. Yeah. But when she would say that to me, this is why I love my youngest. She's well, I love both my children, but she is really a big mirror for me because she literally throws it right back in my face. Mm-hmm. You know, other people, it's just like you see the mirror, but this one, like, she will verbally say it, which is awesome. You know, she really does. And she's like, well, you're the one, you know, and then I was like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it because it doesn't show your worth.
Yeah.
So, but that's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard
tough.
as a parent to really, when you know their potential and they're not doing it, what's her consequence? Well, she doesn't get to have the higher honor roll or whatever, but does it really matter? Not really.
Right. And I mean,
know?
what's better for her to do it now, like in 6th, 7th grade?
Right.
Where she's like, wait, I mean, actually, I can do better than this.
Yeah.
Like, let her experience the B.
Exactly.
And in the moment, she might be like, yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but then she might be like, actually, that didn't feel good.
Right.
She might not even share that with you.
No. And she may not even know.
Right.
I mean, that may be a lesson later on in life that
Yeah.
she has to figure out and go like, oh yeah, I remember that feeling or whatever, you know, who
Yeah.
knows, but
I mean, all we do as parents is just kind of allow it to be and allow a safe space
yes.
for them to kind of save face
Have
a little
that,
bit and
yes.
have that experience.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That
And
natural experience.
Right. And for me, that was a really difficult lesson.
Yeah.
Because you don't want your kids to fail. You don't want them to have a lower grade than they're supposed to get. You know, you don't want those things for them. But at the same time, those are the best things for them.
And that's reality.
Yes.
And you have to learn not to fight it.
Right.
And so as I was looking at reality, and I was just like, okay, I mean, I've somewhat created this. Mm-hmm. Because they'll only do something when I say, hey, go do this.
Right.
And
then who's the bad guy?
Right.
You're having to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Instead of them learning on their own what they could be doing differently.
Exactly. Yeah. Or that they have learned they can get away with it.
Exactly.
I mean, they know that I literally have the attention span of a gnat.
Yeah.
And so if I get distracted with something else, I won't remember what I told them 5 minutes
ago.
Oh,
my girls did the same thing to me.
I know. So it's just like they take advantage of that. And there's a part of me that's like lame, but they're immature.
Yeah.
And they're kids.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I can get mad at that.
Right.
Or I can just say, okay, I need to kind of come back to myself and say, how can I develop more of a independent motivation in them?
Right.
Like a desire to be like, you know what, I'm not going to start my morning here in this chair on the computer. I kind of want to get something else, but you know.
I know. I do the same things too. Well, I love when you had told me a while ago where the kids at night, you know, would be on their devices or something, and you would say something like, so is that really a smart thing to be doing? You know, and really putting it back on them, like, because you know, it's not a really good idea to be on your device, but like asking them, is that really a good idea?
Well,
to
it's
be
not.
on your device?
It's
is
not
that what
even.
you say or whatever?
It's. What do you think about that?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Because really giving them that power back for them to make that decision on their own instead of you, because you already know the decision,
right?
You already know the answer, but like for them to have that power, however old they are, because even at a young age, they know. They know what's right.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And they'll be able to make that choice. Like when you say, well, what do you want to do about it?
Yeah.
Do you think are you cool with it?
Yeah.
And like my kids always are like, no. Put it away, they're done. And
I've used that with my youngest because she had done that one time and I came in and I caught her on her iPad and it was like 11 o'clock at night on a school night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't yell at her. I didn't berate her, which I totally would have before and got really mad and ripped it out. You grounded, blah, blah, whatever. I was like, do you think that was a wise choice? She's like, no. And she gave it over to me. Yeah. You know, and just very calmly. And then it was just like, it was over.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Instead of making this big deal of it.
Right.
Which is what I used to always do.
Well, and it's so funny because we're totally going on.
We are, yes.
We're like, But yesterday,
this is kind of what happens when we usually talk.
I know, yeah. You're seeing the real thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Middle was sick.
Yeah.
I don't even know if should we say our kids' names? I don't even know. Anyway,
I don't know. Yeah.
She was sick, and it was the last day of school, right? So she wanted to go so bad.
Yeah.
She had like thrown up the night before, but it was kind of like a weird, like one-time thing.
She didn't have like any symptoms or anything like that. It was just kind of like
her belly was hurting.
Okay.
So then yesterday she's like, I could tell. She's just like trying to look like she's
really gonna work through it.
But like,
talk about arguing with reality, right?
Right.
Yeah.
She was arguing with reality.
Yeah.
So she's still in her jammies like 5 minutes before Grandma's coming to pick her up.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And she's like, I really want to go. And I said, I understand that. It's the last day of school. That totally makes sense. Is it wise for you to go?
Yeah.
And she was like, I said, well, we've only got 5 minutes. I don't think a shrug will cut it.
Yeah.
Is it wise to go?
Nice try with the
and
shrug.
So she was like, I think I'm okay. I'm going to go. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
And Taylor was my oldest was sitting there. My oldest was sitting there, and she was like, that is the worst question Mom asks ever. Is it wise?
Don't you love it when they throw stuff back at us and they're like, I hate it when you ask that question, Mom.
I know. So I'm like, okay, that's a good one.
Yes.
So she was
that's
like, she said, my life has been ruined so many times when you ask me, is it wise?
I love it. Because they want us to do it for them. They want us to answer for them. They want us to take all that struggle for them. And I gladly did for many, many years. And now for me and my girls, when I put it back on them, they do not like it. They don't like to have to answer that.
Right.
They want you to take it all.
I think that's human nature.
Yeah.
Human nature
it's easier to do that.
Exactly. Like someone take care of me. Someone take care of it for me. I don't want to do a lot of consecutive thinking and personal responsibility. I just think, we're not necessarily inclined to want that. But she goes to school.
Oh, yes.
And I get a call from Grandma. Hey, you know what? Reagan's not going to go to school. She decided once we got here that she wasn't going to get out of the car, that it wouldn't be wise to go.
Interesting.
And I was like, okay, I'm home. Bring her home.
Look at that, how she was able to really figure that out herself.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
Then she came home and she rested and she's like, I'm really glad that I didn't go to school. And I was like, good for you. That was so tough.
That's
so
a
sorry.
tough decision. Yes.
And then being able to be that for your kid.
Yes.
The empathizer who's like, I know reality sucks.
Stinks a lot of the times. Yes.
And
because we want something our way, and that's what we're fighting with. It's our way. It's our ego's way, really, that's wanting it. And God's like, I know what's best for you, but we don't like that.
No.
We want to fight with it because we think we know what's right. And God's like, no, I know what's right. Just trust me.
Right. Exactly.
Even though it doesn't look like it in the moment.
And so you always have opportunities to come back to yourself, to hear God's wisdom.
Yep.
And then it's like, why am I fighting what I'm seeing right now? Why am I fighting what I'm feeling right now?
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
I know.
Trust it.
Yeah.
And allow it to teach you what it needs to teach you.
Right. It's so difficult, but yet so rewarding when it happens.
Yeah.
And so we're given those opportunities over and over and over again.
Yeah, all the time.
We get that all the time.
Yeah, I know. Every day, multiple times a day. So yeah. Doesn't work to fight with reality.
No.
Ask yourself, what is it showing you?
Yeah, for sure.
How can you accept it and how can you learn from it? That's
big lessons. Big lessons. All right.
Have a good one.
Take care.